Have you ever gotten that low battery anxiety? That panic when you see the red icon, knowing you're miles away from a charger? For most of us, it's an inconvenience. For a vlogger named David, it was a death sentence. This is the story of how a dying phone battery didn't just end a recording, it ended a life. David was a pro. He made his living exploring abandoned places, chasing thrills for his subscribers. His latest target was the old Blackwood factory, a sprawling, desolate giant on the edge of town, famous for its eerie silence. He arrived just as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long, menacing shadows across the crumbling facade. He grabbed his camera, his tripod, his main phone for recording, and headed inside, the thrill of the unknown coursing through him. It was only after the heavy iron door slammed shut behind him, echoing through the cavernous space, that he realized his fatal mistake. He patied his pockets, a cold dread washing over him. His power bank, his lifeline, was sitting uselessly in the car. He checked his phone. 15%, he scoffed, thinking, no problem, I'll be quick. An hour, tops. But the factory had other plans. He started his vlog. The usual energetic intro. What's up, explorers? It's your boy David, and tonight, we are inside the legendary Blackwood factory. He panned his phone around, the weak light cutting through decades of dust and decay. The place was massive, a labyrinth of rusted machinery and forgotten hallways. He documented strange noises, old workers' logs, and the general creepy vibe, but his eyes kept flicking to the top corner of his screen. 14%. He needed to be efficient. He decided to head deeper, hoping to find the fabled control room at the heart of the factory. As he navigated the maze, the battery ticked down. Tresa, Dosa, Onsa. Then, at exactly 10%, his screen lit up with an incoming video call. Unknown number? David hesitated. Who could be calling him? He was in the middle of nowhere. Curiosity won. He swiped to answer. The screen filled with static, but through the noise, a voice crackled to life. It was distorted, low and guttural, like metal grinding against bone. It whispered 5 words that froze him in place. Every percentage you lose. There was a pause, filled with the sound of digital screaming. I get a step closer. The call ended abruptly, plunging the screen back to his camera view. David's heart hammered against his ribs. A prank? A hacker who knew his location. He tried to brush it off, but the voice lingered in his mind. It turned it back, deciding to call it a night. The fun was over. He sprinted back the way he came, his footsteps echoing unnervingly. He reached the massive iron door he'd entered through and shoved. It didn't budge. He threw his shoulder against it, again and again, but it was sealed shut, as if it were welded to the frame. Panic began to set in. He ran to the nearest boarded-up window, prying at the planks with his bare hands until his fingers were raw and bleeding, but they wouldn't move. He was locked in. He checked his phone again. No 8%. He could almost hear the distorted voice in his ear. I get a step closer. He started seeing things in the shadows. A flicker of movement at the end of a long corridor. A shape that wasn't there a second ago. He told himself it was just his mind playing tricks on him, fueled by fear and the decaying atmosphere. He had to stay calm. He had to find another way out. Phone in hand, he used its flashlight to navigate, desperately searching for any other exit, any weak point in the factory's iron shell. But every door was locked, every window barred. The factory wasn't just abandoned, it was a fortress, and he was its prisoner. 8%. He heard a soft scraping sound from the darkness behind him, a spoon around shining his light, but saw nothing, just more empty space and silent, skeletal machinery. 7%. The scraping was closer this time. It sounded like something heavy being dragged across the concrete floor. He yelled out, "Who's there?" This isn't funny. Only the echo of his own terrified voice answered. 6%. Now, he could see it, just at the edge of his flashlight's beam. A tall, slender figure stood motionless. It was completely featureless, a silhouette of pure darkness, but its form was unnervingly human. David's blood ran cold. He backed away slowly, his phone held out like a shield. Then, the worst happened. 5%. A notification popped up. Low power mode activated, flashlight disabled. The light from his phone died, plunging him into absolute, suffocating darkness. The only light was the faint glow of his phone screen, which now seemed more like a beacon for the thing hunting him. A was blind. The scraping sound started again, louder now, and much, much closer. He could hear it moving in the blackness, circling him. He started running, stumbling blindly through the dark, his arms outstretched, crashing into machinery and tripping over debris. He didn't know where he was going. He just knew he had to get away from that sound. 4%. He risked a glance at his phone's camera, using the screen as a crude night vision. He spun around, and his heart stopped. The figure was right there, only feet away. He could finally see it clearly in the dim light of the screen. It was a tall, faceless humanoid entity, and on its chest, where a heart should be, was a glowing red icon, an empty battery symbol. It didn't have eyes, but David felt its gaze, a void that promised nothing but oblivion. He screamed and scrambled away, falling over a pile of rubble. 3%. The entity took a slow, deliberate step towards him. Its movements were jerky, unnatural, like a corrupted video file. He could hear a low hum emanating from it, the sound of dying electronics. 2%. It was standing over him now, its featureless head tilted as if examining its prey. David, sobbing, realized there was no escape. This thing wasn't just hunting him, it was tied to his phone. The battery wasn't just a countdown to a dead phone. It was a countdown to his own demise. In a final act of desperation, he raised a heavy iron pipe he'd stumbled over. He was going to smash the phone. Destroy Italiano. Maybe that would break the connection. Maybe that would stop this nightmare. He brought the pipe down with all his might, but just as it was about to connect, the screen flickered and changed. The battery icon vanished, replaced by a single line of text and a progress bar. It read, "Transferring soul." The bar was nearly full. 99% complete. 1%. The pipe hit the screen, but instead of shattering, the phone absorbed the impact with a sickening digital crunch. The screen flashed white, and David screamed as an unimaginable force pulled him from his body. A torrent of data and electricity dragging his very consciousness, his soul, into the device. The progress bar hit 100%. Transfer complete. The phone fell from his limp hand and clattered to the floor. Then, everything went went silent. David was gone. The next morning, a group of urban explorers found the factory door slightly ajar. They cautiously stepped inside, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. On the floor of the main hall, they found a phone. It was pristine, without a single scratch. And strangely, it was fully charged. 100% battery. One of them picked it up and turned it on. The wallpaper was a live photo of the factory's interior. But as they looked closer, they saw something impossible. A tiny, screaming face was pressed against the inside of the glass, its mouth open in a silent, eternal scream, its hands beating against a prison that could never escape. It was David. His phone didn't die. And now, he's just another application. A ghost in the machine, waiting for the next person to run their battery down to zero. So next time you see that low battery warning, maybe you should think twice. You never know what's waiting for you at 1%. Thanks for watching.